Welcome back to Event Explorer, the podcast where we uncover the stories behind the world's most fascinating festivals, events, and cultural experiences. And I'm your host, Daniel Roth. Well, I've got a trip to Ireland coming up, and while exploring the places, traditions, and experiences that define the country, one event kept capturing my attention: the West Cork Chamber Music Festival. Set along Ireland's spectacular southwest coast, the festival brings world-class musicians to intimate venues throughout West Cork. Music fills churches, community halls, and gathering spaces across the region, creating a festival experience that feels deeply connected to the landscape and the people who call it home. As I learned more about the festival, I became fascinated by its history, its influence on generations of young musicians, and the stories that emerged throughout the week. The conversations after the performances, the friendships formed between audiences and artists, the moments that happen in spaces between the concerts in pubs and cafes and on walks. It's really just such a beautiful moment in time. Today, we're joined by Helen Dawson to explore the story of the West Cork Chamber Music Festival, how it's grown into one of Ireland's premier cultural events, and what audiences can expect from this year's program. If you enjoy discovering the people, places, and ideas behind the great events around the world, be sure to follow Event Explorer wherever you listen to podcasts and connect with us on social media. Let's head to West Cork. Welcome back. Today we're heading to the southwest coast of Ireland to explore one of the world's most celebrated chamber music gatherings, the West Cork Chamber Music Festival. Set against the harbors, villages, and dramatic landscapes of West Cork, the festival has become known for bringing together acclaimed musicians and audiences from around the globe for intimate and deeply connected musical experiences. And today, joining us is Helen Dawson to take us behind the scenes of this remarkable festival and preview this year's event. Welcome, Helen.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Just thinking about the festival coming up and the beautiful locations and the spirit of it has got me just really excited kind of for summer and these kind of pastoral, beautiful days and really setting these scenes for festival season in a unique way. So thanks for joining. Where are you calling in from today?
So I'm actually calling in from my boss's home office, which is located on top of the mountain in West Cork. So he's a former farmer, cattle, sheep, all that kind of stuff. So I'm in the office, which was a converted cowshed, and is now filled with books and records and beautiful old hi-fi sound system, with a fantastic view. So I have possibly one of the best commutes to work ever, corkscrewing from town up this mountain.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. Good. Okay, so we're already starting off in this really majestic location. So your boss, so you work for the West Cork Music, which is the production arm kind of that makes West Coast the West Cork Chamber Music Festival. Let me know what's the organization all about? What did he start it, or was it going before him?
Yeah, he started it. So it began in 1996. So we're of long standing. And it began mostly just based in Bantry House, which is this big old 18th century manor house that overlooked the town of Bantry. And Francis and the late owner of the house, Edgerton, came together, thought up this idea of a weekend festival of chamber music. And it grew from there. So, I mean, it began in this one location just a few days, and now it's 10 days long, and we're in multiple venues in the whole town and further afield as well. So, yeah, it's just kind of grown from strength to strength. And now we produce 2 other festivals as well later in the summer. So we have a literary festival and a traditional festival as well. So, yeah, we just keep going.
So Francis, your boss, your partner in producing this. This is what you said, a farmer come chamber music festival producer, which just speaks to kind of the richness of West Cork life and maybe that depth. What was? Do you know what that seed was? Did he attend another festival somewhere and said we have to bring this to West Cork?
Well, he always says that the reason he started it was that he wanted to bring great musicians to Bantry so that he didn't have to travel loads of places to see them himself. He thought, bring the musicians to me rather than me going to the musicians.
This is a good kind of selfishness, I think, for the people of Bantry
Yeah.
and West Cork have benefited for that. And your familiarity with the history of it, I imagine it started smaller and now we've grown. What were those first years like? Has he kind of let you in on the trials and tribulations of building this festival?
Yeah, he's told me a fair few stories about it. It mostly started from his kitchen table with members of his family taking in a lot of the volunteering roles, and using fax machines,
Sure.
of course, back then in the mid-90s to sort out everything. And now we're a much more professional operation. So, all the staff are paid. And I mean, we still get in a lot of volunteers, of course, but we have full-time all year round staff to kind of coordinate everything. It just takes so much behind the scenes management, with applying for funding and booking in the accommodation and the venues, even just doing all the artist contracts. Given how large we are now, takes a significant amount of time.
I imagine it also takes a lot of collaboration with
Yes.
with West Cork and then the local government. And I've noticed that you're not just in Bantry House anymore. You've kind of bridged out. There's even a pop-up at the Cork airport, I imagine, for people that are arriving.
That's right.
So tell us about kind of, how did it expand to all these locations, and what locations are you in this year?
So in Bantry town itself, we're in Bantry House, of course, which is very much the heart of everything. But for many years, we've also done concerts in St. Brendan's Church, which is the large Protestant church in the square, which definitely has some of the most amazing acoustics. Especially if you're sitting up in the gallery, it's just absolutely delightful in this large space. We also use two other smaller churches in the town, a former Methodist church, which is a really cute, tiny little stone building, and then another more modern church. But I mean, further afield, we take events to all sorts of the other villages and islands off West Cork. So we have 4 events happening on islands around West Cork, concerts or workshops. And we also do take events into cafes and pubs, art galleries, that kind of thing for people who maybe can't get into Bantry, because West Cork, it's not well connected in terms of public transport. So to be able to take it out to these other locations is really, really nice.
And I imagine to that point that the location kind of informs, even if, the piece may have been written in, Berlin or Moscow, but now kind of it takes on a new life or maybe a new spirit, being in the location. Do you think that has that affected the musicians as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely the location is something you think about when you're programming, for sure. And Francis does all the programming. He puts a lot of thought into that. So he will just sort of say, oh, this piece is perfect for Bantry House for like a candlelit concert. That's where it's meant to be. Whereas other pieces, he'll be thinking, no, this has to be a morning concert. It'll be in the church. The acoustics will be much better for it. Space is also a big issue, like in the tiny venues, you obviously can't have too many musicians or you're taking away audience space and things like that. So it definitely does. And artists will sometimes tell him if they know the spaces, I think it should be there, or I think it should be here, So yeah, it does. They kind of know. They know what fits. Because in Bantry House, we're in the library. So it's this beautiful, ornate room with a big chandelier overhead and all books lining the walls. It's a really, really different atmosphere to a stone-walled church,
Gorgeous. So there is a kind of curation or creative direction happening. So when people come to the festival, they may not even, put 2 and 2 together, but then the experience connects to then create the piece into itself, or kind of that moment in time.
Completely. And I mean, I think as with a lot of things, most people in an audience won't see the wheels turning. They won't be aware of it. They'll just appreciate that it's happened,
Sure.
And accept that this is why we come, even if they don't put their finger on exactly what it is. about it.
What in the past kind of, we'll talk about this year in a second, but over your
Sure.
tenure, what have been some of those moments that have really clicked with you?
Oh goodness. I think some of my favorite festival moments have been a couple of years ago. We heard a new composition, a song cycle of the Magdalene songs, which was about the Magdalene laundries in Ireland, which is quite a sort of very difficult part of our history. And it was just one of the most affecting concerts I've ever been at. Really heartbreaking, but really, really poignant. And that was definitely one of the most amazing concerts I've ever been at. But I mean, I think last year I also heard the most amazing Schumann piano trio in Bantry House by this young trio called the Paddington Trio. And they would just, it was something else. It was really, really extraordinary to see these young players perform in this absolutely beautiful venue with their, lovely, lovely dresses and clothes on. And it just was perfect. It was just a really, really amazing concert. So those would be possibly two of my highlights.
It clicked.
Yeah.
And I imagine in planning the festival, there's kind of these moments of, Francis, are you sure? Or Francis, is this going to work? Or the troubles of, travel is going to be difficult for these people, or we can't connect with them. In those moments, make it kind of all pay off for you as bringing these logistics together to make this event happen.
Completely, yeah. I mean, the payoff is definitely that you can see the product of your work, and that's what makes this job so wonderful for me. Is that despite all the headaches and the late nights of trying to work out how you get someone from Sofia, Bulgaria to Cork or whatever, and then try and like squeezing them into an already over full town of holidaymakers, is that you get to see these amazing concerts and also see everyone else enjoying them as well. So it's not just that I enjoy them, but I get to see that for the artists and the audience, it's something special for them as well.
And I imagine there's a mix too, right? Of local. What do people from West Cork, Corkians, Corkers?
I don't know actually.
That there's a mix. I imagine you're getting a kind of local crowd of this is what's on for the weekend, and they get excited about it now coming back every year, so they don't have to leave town to have this vacation. And then holidaymakers, as you're saying, and then also those who are particularly interested in kind of following chamber music or
we've got pretty we've got pretty loyal audiences, actually. People who come every year, and coming to Bantry is their holiday, and they come for the festival. So I mean, they're the kind of people who will just kind of, when they leave their holiday cottage, will book it for the next year automatically, because they know they're coming back for the festival.
That's perfect. Yeah. That's perfect. So you mentioned artists coming from around the world. I imagine there's, chamber music is a strong, section of the classical music scene. We'd say are traditional, somewhat traditional or classical to that aspect. How does that network kind of work to help with programming? Are there other festivals that you communicate with to broaden your network or to, exchange information about artists and pieces? Or is this, kind of how does that ecology or that connection in the chamber music kind of make the festival stronger? Are there artists that are leaving your festival and going to the next one, and you're in communication with them, that kind of thing?
Absolutely, yes. So, I mean, we have strong links with a few other chamber music festivals, especially around Europe. So there's an Italian festival called Trama Sonore, which we have very strong links to, and we will often exchange personnel for the festivals to go and see how they're operating, who they're bringing. But there's also kind of chamber festival venues like the Wigmore Hall in London, which we would keep an eye on as well to see who they're getting in and like up and coming artists and things like that would appear there. So there's definitely a lot of strong links, and of course the artists themselves network a lot and would would make recommendations. Like a quartet might say, oh, we want to do a piano quintet and bring in this piano player kind of thing. So that would happen a fair bit as well.
I see. So those connections keep it going and keep the kind of elasticity of the environment. And what I'm seeing, and you're saying up and coming, when someone thinks of chamber music, they may not connect those two things of up and coming. And, but there is this spirit, and especially in your programming, that there's a lot of young people. I mean, it's mostly young people in these performances. What's that been like? Kind of, is that something that's grown? Is there more interest in it over the years of younger generations coming in, or how is the kind of vibe and the scene of chamber music in 2026?
Yeah, most definitely. It is definitely a growing area of interest, both here in Ireland, especially in Cork, but also internationally, I think. I mean, in Ireland, back when our festival started in 1996, doing masterclasses with young musicians was always part of it. One of the members of the Bantry Quartet, which was Ireland's premier string quartet, undertook the direction of these masterclasses with young students, and that's just kept going. And you can really see the difference actually in what it's made to the chamber music scene in Ireland, especially in Cork, where Chris would be based. And it's a really exciting thing. A lot of those musicians who've come up through the master classes are now very well renowned classical musicians around Europe. Which is fantastic to see. And that it kind of breeds then, when people see it, when they see those concerts, they get inspired by the music and they want to do it. And I mean, chamber music is just really interesting music. If you're a musician who is interested in playing, outside of an orchestral scene where you're not just one of many, but you are just one of four, it's a completely different, obviously, way of thinking, way of playing, the balance you need. So I think in a lot of ways it's quite challenging, which a lot of young musicians find really exciting. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the case around the world. I mean, chamber music festivals seem to be popping up all over the place. So do CDs of the cycles of string quartets and things like that. So I think it's a growing area in chamber in classical music
because it's typically, I think, mostly not conductor led. It is led by the performer. It's always the performers collaborating, and so it really is very influenced by the spirit of the players, and not coach led. It's player driven, for a sports analogy.
Player driven. That's exactly right. They need to be. I mean, if you see a string quartet live and you're up close to them, you see them communicating with each other with body language all the time. They're looking at each other, the way they're kind of just moving their bodies towards each other for certain parts. It's all part of it. It's like a dance, Wow. It's lovely to see, especially if you're in a room, a really small room, which is what chamber music, of course, originally was. It's music in a room. You really, really see that, and you see the expressions on their faces. It's just really nice to see.
And this is not. Yeah. I can imagine how inspiring that is. Like, as you were saying, to younger players who may see whatever the Dublin Philharmonic or the Dublin Orchestra or London, and say it doesn't feel as attainable of a goal or even as much fun looking in some ways. It seems very austere yeah. So now they see these people really expressing their passions with each other, and then they obviously pick up the vibe. I think, jazz, I think is a similar aspect of hearing it on a recording versus being in the room with it. You can't understand the fervor people have for that. Jazz is popular, you like to listen to it, but when you're in the room with it, just like chamber music, now you understand the true purpose or the reason it's like such a calling.
I think so.
Yeah, agree. Okay, so now we have, 30 years on, you could have someone that wasn't born yet, and now they're a star of your festival, I imagine.
Really? Yes.
So talk to me about kind of the experience over the week, and then particularly for this year, over these 10 days, what is the programming looking like, and what are you excited about for this year?
So we have some absolutely fantastic headlines for this festival. We've got a lovely lovely brochure, which I hope you can
and we can
see
share it
there,
digitally.
nice parts. Yeah. But definitely, I mean, some of our headline acts would be the cellist Andreas Brantelid. He's coming from Denmark, and he's an extraordinary cellist. He's doing a number of collaboration work with a string quartet, with other soloists coming, and he's also doing a solo concert of Benjamin Britten cello suite. Those are absolutely beautiful set of cello suites. We have a kind of Ukrainian theme as well at the start of the week. So our opening acts are actually two fabulous Ukrainian musicians, Anna Fedorova and Diana Tishenko, who are performing works by Ukrainian composers. Which is so that'll open the concert on the Friday night.
So moving, I imagine. Very, very,
very
emotional
moving. I think,
yeah.
And we also are doing some Handel operatic arias later in the week. So we have a Portuguese soprano coming, Ana Vieira Leita. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who's coming to do the Handel German arias. And we don't often do a lot of opera stuff to that level here, because obviously we don't have the space for your full operatic suite of instruments. But this will be kind of a smaller Baroque orchestra, not orchestra, chamber group accompanying her. So that'll be something quite special, I think, as well. And some other headline performers coming. Well, one of our festival favorites, Mairead Hickey, is one of those people I was just telling you about. She came up through the master classes, and now she's a concert master in Paris, one of the Parisian orchestras. And yeah, she comes back pretty much every year, and is a huge favorite. Fantastic violinist.
Beautiful.
Very petite girl who really owns the stage.
Yeah. You can get the vibe from it. And she's coming back not just as a job. I imagine there's just the joy of being in Bantry. What's the weekend like for an attendee? Like, are there? I imagine you're seeing the players kind of in the off times a little bit as well too. So if you're a big chamber music fan, there's the opportunity to have a tea and kind of be milling about while you meet them.
Well, I mean, that's one of the really special things actually about Bantry as a location, and it's something that both the artists and the audience have mentioned to me. Is that, like, they go to these concerts, they see these wonderful musicians on stage, and then afterwards they meet them in the pub. They can buy them a drink, they can have a chat with them, and it all feels very down to earth. And I mean, it's very special for audiences, but artists as well tell me they absolutely love it because, if you're in a big city like London or Amsterdam, you play your concert, you probably will never meet your audience, and so I think they really like, especially because many of the repeat audience come back, they feel like they get to know the artist, and the artists, if they're repeat artists coming back, they kind of might remember them and things like that. It's really nice. It's a very special part of the festival, I think, that you do get to meet them afterwards for a Guinness.
And in a beautiful location, some incredible Bantry pub, or on an island, on the west of Europe. I mean, that's how beautiful. Okay, well, I would think any even slight chamber music fan is probably intrigued to come. But there are people who have other passions. So we should talk. I want to hear about these other couple festivals and how this industry, just a little snippet of kind of how this business has evolved, that you're now producing 3 festivals during the year. And what was the kind of draw for that, or how did these bubble up?
So they sort of grew organically. In the very first festival, there was a literary element. So the great poet Seamus Heaney came to an early festival and recited some of his poetry in a concert in between some pieces. And that's sort of how it started. So then there was at first kind of a literary component side by side with the chamber. And then it kind of was decided to separate them out a little bit. So the literary festival became a separate festival and grew itself, So that's an 8-day long festival that starts almost on the heel of the Chamber Music Festival. And then the traditional festival, which is titled Masters of Tradition, that came about because the great Irish trad fiddle player Martin Hayes came and did a concert at one of the Chamber Music Festivals. And he and Francis decided, well, why not do another separate trad festival? So Martin now curates that. So he programs it. He invites all the people, and that will take place in mid to late August.
Awesome. And this is, it just feels like these aren't just kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of keeping them alive, or let's find that these are helping build the industries or the fields up, so that you're part of a kind of network. I think there's trad festivals, traditional music festivals throughout Ireland that people do tour for and things now. And, I was reading that Ireland gets 3 times the population of tourists over the summer. So there's a lot of need for programming. So this helps as well, I think, to satisfy that need and to extend the kind of cultural influence outside of the borders. So people are going to experience this and kind of take it home with them a little bit. Yeah. So the industry of events in West Cork and in Ireland, I think gets a big impact from that as well. But then with the influence in the best way of kind of promoting and keeping culture alive and in discussion and not overshadowed by, we have the same thing in the US of, a Live Nation or AEG, these kind of big festivals of pushing pop music as this is the only, and we run into this. There's a lot of events that people say you should cover on this podcast, but a lot of them may be kind of formulaic, and you don't have a Francis curating this. You have, more of a corporate entity pushing artists. So you're fighting the good fight. I think it's very cool. Yeah. I imagine the town and the county must really appreciate and want to kind of collaborate.
Very much so. I mean, it obviously brings in a lot of business to the town itself in terms of people providing, B&Bs and holiday cottages, and obviously just shopping, all that kind of stuff. But the town people themselves really get on board with it. So, I mean, there would not be enough hotel rooms for everyone who comes. So, I mean, there's people in the town who just have spare bedrooms who will put up a volunteer for me for the 10 days or a masterclass student or something like that. They really get on board with it. And it's wonderful. And again, we sort of like find restaurants for the artists to go and eat and things like that. There's a lot of goodwill in the town towards it.
That's incredible. Well, I'm intrigued. Yeah. Being whisked away to West Cork and to the west coast of Ireland is just such a dream. And when you get there to have this type of thoughtful, collaborative music and programming that really, creates it as a destination is so special. So to you and the team, congratulations. I think this year is going to be, it sounds like you've had some good years. Let's call this one better than ever. So if anyone is thinking about making the trek, we're gonna put this out right away. We're talking at the end of May. I mean, we're only about 3-4 weeks out.
About 4 weeks.
What kind of staff do you grow to at that time to put on this festival? How many people do you think are involved in this? I mean, it's got to be in the hundreds now.
Oh, it's a huge number. I mean, we would get in like upward of 40 volunteers for the Chamber Music Festival. We hire an extra box office person to help with things.
And then you're running. You're running on all these back roads to go to these small venues.
I'm running around like a headless chicken throughout the whole festival. Trying to manage everything. So yeah, it's frantic for me, but it's the first half of the week that's always the most difficult, when I'm still sort of on tenterhooks waiting for all the artists to get here. It's like, will they lose their luggage? Will the flight be cancelled? Will something go wrong? Will they get sick? Once they're here, I can start to relax a bit. So the second half of the week, for me at least, is always a little bit easier. It's like, okay, I can take a breath now, because I don't care if they don't leave. I just care about getting them here.
Yeah, we'll keep them once they're here. Fortunately, those quiet moments of reflection are kind of built into the festival as well. So you do get a breath, and I imagine there's kind of that pinch me moment for you and for the team during that festival when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and it's got to be rewarding over and over of, oh, this is why we do it. This is it right here. Yeah, it's right in front of you. Well,
yeah, when you get that moment, it's perfect. It is.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I encourage everyone to make the trek. And what are the dates again in some of the venues this year? Where can they find out more info about that?
So the dates are the 26th of June to the 5th of July, and you can find our full program on westcorkmusic.ie.
Excellent. Well, you have been such a pleasure to have on here and just to speak with you. Your passion comes through. Obviously, Francis's passion comes through you. So what a great gift you are giving to your neighbors and countrymen on the west coast of Ireland. And thank you for joining.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure to talk to you.
Helen, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing the story behind the West Cork Music Festival. One of the things that stays with me after this conversation is the sense of place. It's easy to think about a music festival in terms of just artists and performances, but what she's described is something much larger, a gathering of people in a remarkable corner of Ireland. Historic venues filled with music, young musicians learning from masters, audiences discovering new works while overlooking Bantry Bay. It's the kind of event that reminds us of why live experiences matter, the music that brings people together, but it's also the conversations, the walks between the venues, the familiar faces returning year after year, and the unexpected moments that become memories that people carry home with them. If you'd like to experience it for yourself, the 31st Annual West Cork Chamber Music Festival takes place in Bantry, County Cork, Ireland, from June 26th through July 5th, 2026. Across 10 days, audiences can experience world-class concerts, masterclasses, talks, and performances in one of the most beautiful settings along Ireland's wild Atlantic Way. You can learn more and explore the full program at the festival's website, which I'll link to the episode. And if you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow Event Explorer wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also connect with us on social media for more conversations with the people behind the world's most fascinating events. Until then, I'm Daniel Roth. Happy exploring.